Hello friends. When we do Java, the very first program that we come across always is Hello World. But in this particular video presentation, I'm going to showcase Hello World in a very different way. And what is that all about? As you can see over here, I have written few functions. Where from these functions are coming? Well, these are all inbuilt functions, and in fact, the amazing part of the story is that although if you see over here I've gone for inheritance in the form of interface, but imagine this is required because I'm going to demonstrate the clone function. Because of that reason I've written this invocation of the interface. But had that not been so, I will just omit it for a while. And now just imagine if it is ideally like this: hello world 1, and now you're creating an object of the hello world 1. This is the standard way of doing it, which you have done definitely. Now if I come down to the next line, if I write obj1 dot, look over here, certain interesting thing is there. The function clone, equal, get class, hashCode, notify all, toString, wait, and the different type of wait with different prototypes. Where from these functions are coming? Well, I did not do anything. I did not write. This is a very simple, or maybe the very first program which you are writing in Java. So where from all these methods are coming? Well, those methods are coming from the default inheritance that is there, which is the object. So that means whenever you write any program in Hello World, even if you are not doing inheritance, by default inheritance is there, and that in the form of we are extending the base class that is called object, and it's the object that provides us the following method. As a reason, again, if you see, you will find exactly the same functions which you saw a few minutes ago when this inheritance was not there. So ideally, the very first program which you did in Hello World, on that very day you actually also started the story of inheritance. But unfortunately it was not revealed to us until after you have covered a good portion of Java. Then you may get to know about this. But from now onward, those who are learning Java, just keep it in mind, the very first program of your life that has got Hello World, even there also inheritance is there very much. So as we saw that few sample functions are there, so in this particular program I'm going to talk about few of the functions which I find quite important. Well, all the functions are equally important, but still I just wanted to make it in two videos where I'm demonstrating the first few functions which are very much important in context of the object. Okay, as I said about objects, so let's see over here what we have got in this particular program. Here I declare a variable, and the name of the variable is called value, which has got 100. And what about this? Well, I have declared a couple of objects of the class hello world, and the object name are object1, object2 respectively. Now why did I do that? Well, I want to show you something very interesting because of these functions. Well, if you come to this particular line, if you see something called hashCode is there, so I'm printing the hashCode of an object. So what do you mean by hashCode? Well, this hashCode is actually a numeric value, and this numeric value is assigned by the JVM, Java Virtual Machine, for a given object that will help JVM to identify that object. Okay, well, if I have to give an example, then it would like an Aadhaar number. Like I have got an Aadhaar number, you have got an Aadhaar number, so that Aadhaar number will help the government to figure out who am I in a much easier way. And the government is over here in the considered to be as JVM. So JVM is allocating an object, and each object will have a unique number, and that number is actually a numeric value. You know, it's a numeric, it's a numerical value which you're getting. And two different objects will have two different hash code. It's very obvious. Like if I have a Aadhaar number, you will not have the same Aadhaar number, right? So for that reason, over here I'm demonstrating two different hash code value that will be given by JVM. Okay, that's great. And let's talk about the next function, and it is in fact very much associated with hashCode only. That is called toString. What is this all about? Okay, let me run the code and you see yourself. For the time being, I'm just commenting this particular portion so that you don't have any confusion with the output that is produced. So let me click on the run button. As I do that, you get to see the output right over here now, and the output will be comprising of both the objects. Yes, look over here, this is what I was saying, that hashCode will provide a unique number. Well, hashCode is the number, and it has been provided by JVM to be more specific for identifying an object. So two different objects will have two different numbers. Great, isn't it? Now what about toString? Well, this particular number that has been generated by JVM it has to be converted into a hexadecimal number for the object. So this is the object which we have created, right? This is the object that got created. So this object has got this hash code that the VM is tracking, and the same hash code which is in the numeric form, if I convert it into hexadecimal value, this is what it shows. So that means what it's saying is that this object 1 actually belongs to the class hello world followed by @ that is working as separator between the class name to that of the hexadecimal format of the hash code, and that's what you are seeing. So basically this is the numeric value. The hexadecimal value of this number is what you are seeing in the form of toString, and that's what toString does is, so it converts the numeric value into a hexadecimal for a given object. Okay, so again I said this is going to be created by JVM, and this number will be used to identify the object from the given memory pool. Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on to the third function, which is called equal, and it's very interesting, very interesting. So what is trying to mean? We are using the word equal. So are we going to perform a comparison? Yes, of course we're going to compare between object 1 and object 2. So what is going to be the output of this? Well, you see yourself what the output will be, and then we will come across object number 4. Okay, let's run the code again and see what we are getting right from here. So if I click on the run button, it will just get compiled and the output will come in front of us. So when we are going for equal of object 1 and object 2, they are not actually equal in context to the memory location, because we are seeing that they belong to two different address or two different hash code. So for that reason, object 1 dot equal object 2, they are actually not equal, they are actually different because they reside into different memory location. Okay, so they are not equal. Great. Okay, that's great. But if I generate in this fashion, if I generate that object 3, I'm assigning it there to object 4. So when we are doing that, then we are going to say that they are actually equal. So object 3 and object 4 are going to be equal, and that's what you are seeing right over here. See, it's now equal. So when we are creating two different objects in this fashion, remember they are not equal. So that's the reason they are saying that it's false. And as we saw that they belong to different address. But if I'm creating an object in this fashion, in this way, in that case it's showing that it's equal. Okay, so we might want to see what is the hash code of these two locations. So let's go and check now what is the hash code of these two locations. So this is going to be the hash code of object number 3, yes, and this is going to the hash code of object number 4, and here also have to print object number 3 and object number 4. Let's run the code again and see what we find right over here. So as I click on this run button, and now it's getting compiled, and initially we are going to get two different hash code respectively. Yes, look over here, this is the hash code of object number 3, as you can see over here, and the way we create object number 4 is directly by assigning object to object 4, and that's the reason why you can see it has got exactly the same address. Got it? So initially if you're creating object with the help of new keyword, then they are going to be different, they are going to have two different hash code. But if you are creating an object, the first object you created with the new keyword, the second object which you're creating, you're directly using the assigned operator. In that case they are equal, and here we saw it's equal. And why they're equal? Because both these two object hash code are same, so they are actually pointing to the same memory location. That's what it implies. Okay, so that's how the equal is going to be equal. Got it? I hope now it's getting clear. Okay, the next one, what it does, it gives the class name. That means a particular object associated with which particular class, the class name has been given back. So let's run the code and see yourself. What about the get class? You get the get class. It says that the object 1 belongs to the hello world, and that's the reason why it has come down right over here. Okay, nice, great. Now we are going to find another very interesting thing, and that is called clone. The clone function. Okay, so as you can see over here, what we are doing is like we are creating two different objects, isn't it? Object 1, object 2. So object 1 also has got the variable that is called value, which is 100, and object 2 also has got the variable value 100. Right. Now if I change the object 1 value to, that is 999 I'm changing the value of the variable called value from 100 to 999, that is done by object 1. Now if I create another object, but the way we are doing it is through clone. So object 1 dot clone, and the object 1 belongs to the class called hello world. So typecasting has been done, and then object 5 gets created. Now because of this reason, what happened? Well, object 5 will now also hold the value 999, and that's what I'm printing right over here. So let's run the code once again and see the output. Very interesting part is this, and very important, and in many interviews this kind of question comes in picture. So as you can see over here, now look over here, we have got object 5 is also having the value 999. But if we have created then with the help of new keyword, then object 5 will be having the variable value 100 rather than 999. But since we are creating it with the help of clone, so the content of the object 1 is actually getting copied to the object 5, and that's the reason why we are getting the 999 from the object 5. Okay, great. But here is a twist in the story. The twist goes is that even though if you're going for clone, it may contain the same value, but what about the hash code for object 5? Well, that's different. That is different, because see over here, the hash code value of object 1 is this, right? But when we are going to create the object 5, at that point of time, this is the hash code value of object 5. So they are not identical. So remember, when we are doing the equal, the hash code value of both the objects are same, but when we are going for clone, the hash code value of the objects are different. So that's what got point, and this small difference you must remember. Okay, so remember, with the help of hash code, with the help of clone, if you're creating an object, the hash code will be different for that object. Okay, now before we wrap up, one last thing I need to tell you is that you have to give a clone to the implement clone interface. The reason why is that so, because the clone method which we have got over here has got the return type as protected. This particular function has a protected access specifier. So when you have got a protected, you cannot give a call to the clone function directly from some other class. So for that reason, we have to inherit this. We have to give a call. It's like overriding this particular function in the derived class, and once we override this, then only you will be able to use the clone function. If you do not override this, if you try to access the clone like the way you did for other functions, in this case it will not work, because a clone function has got protected access specifier. So that a small thing which you need to remember. Okay, so in this particular video I've covered the concept of object, hash code, toString, equal, get class, and ultimately also we saw what is clone function going to do. And I believe it gives you an idea that how important the class extend object is really happening behind the scene. So extend object. So for the last time, rest on the program as a whole to see that after we extended, we are getting the same concept, the same output we are getting, and that shows that every Java program that you're writing, even if they don't extend anything, but make sure behind the scene it is extending the base class that is called object. Okay, so I've shared you the programs of the object, but still few more methods are there. I believe in my next video we'll talk about that as well. Until then, have a nice time. Bye bye.